Tracy.
Hi, Katie. Podcast number 10,
Podcast number 10, summer edition.
summer edition. Can you believe we started this? It's not quite a year, but almost a year ago. And we have done such an incredible job, I think, in terms of like highlighting women from across the country, talking about their personal, moments, their achievements. We're just coming off of,
Their struggles.
yeah, their struggles. I feel like women are getting like more vocal, also like on the Facebook, on the social platforms. We've
Yeah,
got people who are really talking about how proud they are that they've had their personal highs, or also talking about their personal lows. And
yeah.
I've personally learned a ton in the last
10.
9, 10 months.
I know. And like Tracy and I were talking about what we could put on the summer month podcast. And we were talking about how could we do like a recap of the whole season, but there was just so much that's happened that and so many successful moments. It's like how can we even put that into one show and condense all of those moments without it just being not doing it justice. So,
Not doing it justice, and perhaps like the fear of maybe leaving people out when they deserve it. And we were
yeah.
really authentic, I think, in that conversation while we're trying to prep for this month and next. Oh, we've already prepped for next month.
Oh, we're ready. We're
Yeah, we're
ready.
ready. So, boys, just so you know, we're ready already for next month.
Yeah.
But certainly proud of what we watched. Particularly the back half of this year, and just even the achievements around, the pro tour and the pro league, and just
The
incredible.
WCBT events with the
Diamond Ladies
numbers that
Classics.
were coming out.
Yeah, we could just go on and on. So, anyways, if
Yeah.
you're out there and listening, we're super, super proud of everybody. Everybody, continue to like strive for next season. And Katie and I have already planned August, and we'll look at doing a sort of early prep to next season.
Getting ready for it. But as we wrap up last season, there's been some really exciting things that have kind of wrapped up in the last few weeks here. One of them being Masters Nationals, which I know everybody has kind of been talking about. We are going to talk about it a little bit today, but not necessarily in the same way that some of the other podcasts in the last couple of weeks have mentioned it. And also, there was a really cool bowling school. There's been two bowling schools that have wrapped up actually in the last couple of weeks, one over in BC and then another one over on the other side of the country in Newfoundland that featured our little resident guest coach that we have all the time. So, are we ready to just bring them in?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. You guys?
Good.
It
So
looks like
we,
it's going pretty good for Des with that backdrop.
yeah, camping.
It's a green
Jealous.
screen.
We had to fake our backgrounds.
You don't have the
It's
same
fine.
kind of background, but you do look like you're in a beautiful spot. Tell us about where you are right now, Des.
Yeah, so we're a couple hours northwest of Calgary. This is one of our favorite areas to come to. So thankful for Starlink that I can be here and able to do this with you guys.
Looks stunning.
Amazing. So
Well,
we have Melissa Manor from Newfoundland and obviously Coach Des joining us today. Melissa has just come off of a very successful competitive season, um, completed right now with Masters Nationals that was hosted in her home zone of Newfoundland, where she got an award of excellence there. So some of the little stats about Melissa's Masters journey. She's been involved in Masters since 2014 with 15 appearances at Masters Nationals, 14 as a bowler and one as a coach. Which team did you coach, Melissa?
I coached in 2005 in Red Deer, and Tracy, I will spare you from telling stories on that one.
thank you.
So,
That's
of those 15 appearances at Nationals, a gold medal in 2017, which was the first time the Newfoundland ladies have ever won gold. I remember seeing all of the posts about that. It was like pandemonium. Everybody was going nuts. Silver in 2018 and a bronze in 2023, a very well deserved bronze that they threw, locked it in against my team in the last game. So, congratulations on that.
Thanks, friend.
Melissa, I will say 2005, just to get off topic is that you did hand me an award in 2005, and we don't need to talk about that either, but thank you for that moment.
No sweat.
And then you're also involved in a whole bunch of other things in Newfoundland. Tracy, do you want to highlight some of those?
Yeah, former vice president of the Masters Association in Newfoundland, and I believe you represented that role for approximately 4 years. And then my dogs, I'm so sorry, always want to either wrestle or play during this podcast. So I don't know if you can hear that. And also co-chair of the 2012 Nationals hosted in Newfoundland. You're the president and co-founder of the Newfoundland Bowling Tour, the NBT, which has really become fast and furious and famous across Canada. A lot of work behind that. You host 2 full weekends events per year around the NBT Body Quest Classic and the Body Quest Challenge. And these events are actually open to YBC seniors and older with various teams, singles, scratch, and POA, which I think is tremendous. You host the Youth Classic in March, open to YBC juniors and seniors. This is going to really lead us into the segue of the NBT Academy. And you collaborate with the family of late Bob Osborne to run a fun team event to celebrate his legacy in the game, raise money for Cancer Care Foundation, and so far in the last 2 years since he's been gone, you guys have actually raised well over $12,000. So a lot going on just in those quick bullet points. You're a fan of bowling, super passionate about bowling. You're an advocate for the next generation of bowling, but you're also honoring the advocacy behind people who have mentored you throughout your bowling career since you started at the age of 5. So there's a lot to be said there. Segue into the NBT Academy, because we'll hold all questions to the end. But maybe I'll let Katie take the lead on the segue in the NBT Academy and the bowling school.
Yeah, so my understanding, NBT Academy is kind of like the teaching side of your bowling tour, the Newfoundland bowling tour. But you have a branch for like kind of those educational things. So during COVID, there was a series of Zoom sessions that you had guest speakers that spoke about nutrition and fitness and mental game. And then you guys just had a bowling school that wrapped up. My youth was on the Friday and Saturday this last week, and the adults played on the Sunday.
Right.
Amazing. How did that go?
Oh boy.
Okay, actually,
sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was going to say, let's hold that for 2 seconds. Let's just quickly talk a little bit about your Master's Award of Excellence, because that's a huge accomplishment to receive something like that. So, do you want to just speak a little bit to like what that award means to you, or what you kind of feel about the Masters?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, firstly, I was very humbled, very honored to receive it in and of itself. But to be recognized on the same night as 2 absolute legends of Newfoundland bowling, Jenny Lee and Cal Penny, I mean, that just added to the honor for me. Like, they're just absolute legends in Newfoundland bowling. Grew up watching them, bowl, coach, volunteer. And then I guess my master's journey, I mean, some people may know this, some people may not. So the first year I bowled was 2004. That year, I think in total, our team won 21 points in 21 games. And that's not meant as a slight against that team, and over the years that followed, there were many similar results. We had a core group here who was committed to kind of fielding a team each year so that we'd have a full contingent. So kind of where we ended up in the end of maybe having better numbers, more bowlers come out. If a lot of those women hadn't stuck around during those hard years, we'd never be in that position. So to kind of have in the past few years here a few medals won by the Newfoundland tournament women, and kind of, I guess, all of it just to come full circle, having volunteered alongside Annetta Power, who basically needs no introduction when it comes to the Masters. I mean, just kind of all of that to come together to get recognized. I mean, just it'll go down definitely as one of the biggest highlights of my bowling career. That's for sure.
That's
Melissa,
amazing.
like decades in the making without really any real intention by yourself. And what I mean by that, I mean it in a positive way. Everything that you were doing along the way was improvement of yourself, improvement of your own game, improvement of Newfoundland bowling, your passion for bowling across the country, your friendships across the country. It's not an easy award to get, this award of excellence. And I'm sure you're very, very proud. But it just actually goes back to all of these little moments across your journey where you've actually made a huge difference.
Well, thanks for that. But I'm really glad actually you mentioned that because, again, everything is sort of with intention and everything ties together. And it's maybe sort of, you know, where the MBT comes from or where the MBT Academy comes from or where the bowling school comes from. And certainly, you know, I have to acknowledge anything to do with MBT. Shane Chafe is 100% my partner in crime on it. And, you know, he and I have kind of been working a lot of things these past few years. But you're right. And like, it was kind of a speech I gave to the kids during one of our Q&As this weekend. And I mean, Tracy, you were there for a lot of those Masters years and you can attest to it. Meant as no disrespect, because I mean, I was one of the bowlers on the teams too, but those were hard tournaments to bowl. You know, there was a year literally out of 21 games that we won one. Like, I don't care what your intention is when you go as a competitor. That's very difficult to do. But for me personally, I always took those moments, and I mean, I've had these conversations with you guys. I took those moments to be like, okay, clearly, you know, it's day 2, we're 0-10. This is not really going wherever, but I'm going to talk to a Sandy Anderson in the pit. I'm going to talk to Jennifer Marshall in the pit. Okay, I'm getting to bowl anchor this game against whoever. You know what I mean? And I said to the kids this weekend especially, like, bowling more or taking on these challenges, it might not instantly make you better, but it will never make you worse. And all of those years, there was, whether it was experiences that I had that helped my bowling, whether there was getting a view of the behind the scenes volunteering that went into it, whether it was forming the friendships and relationships, you know what I mean? That all came from that. So yes, the gold medal and the other medals and all that is a really great story at the end. But even if I had never got that, I feel I would have gotten so much more from the Masters than I ever gave to it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. One thing that like just really stands out for me is that you're always looking for ways to like build the sport in Newfoundland. Like, and you can see that like you said, the program at one point in time was going to nationals, taking maybe no points or very few points, and then now in the last 5-10 years, you have medals coming out of national tournaments. And that just kind of goes as a testament to show the work that you and like the people around you, the volunteers, are putting in to the program, starting with the youth, bringing it all the way up, which kind of segues us a little bit even into Newfoundland Bowling School. Where did the idea to have a bowling school come from?
Well, I guess it's kind of another interesting kind of getting back to what Tracy said, right? It's the relationships. So in addition to my one stint as a coach at Masters Nationals, I had one stint as a coach at the Open Nationals. And that particular year, Des was coaching the Alberta women. We happened to get bronze that year, which I was very proud of because it's kind of cool to have a medal as a coach because we're not often coaching. Of course, Desiree won gold that year as a coach because, well, that's what Desiree does. But anyway, where it kind of came from was that seed was planted in 2019 in terms of just being in the pit. As a fellow coach, you're kind of stood in the front, you're kind of stood next to each other, and just listening to her coach and seeing the way that she interacted with the team, it was just different, right? Like there's lots of great coaches out there. There's lots of great coaches here all across the country. But to me, and, for anybody who knows me, I'm an intellect. I'm always like sizing up. I'm always thinking, my eyes are always looking around. I'm always listening. And it was different. The style of coaching was different. Focus on biomechanics, this kind of feedback, the technical adjustments, the mental commentary. And I was very much into my team's game, but the fact that it was that sort of out there that it caught my attention, it kind of always stood with me. Didn't think a whole lot of it after. But last year, at the start of the season, and I kind of sat down and I was like, I want to work on my game. I want to kind of take my game up a notch because, as you guys know, the talent in Newfoundland is unbelievable, and it's becoming super hard, to make teams or to be competitive in tournaments. And I was like, yeah, I'm not ready to kind of hang it up yet. So I sort of outlined a plan. Part of it was traveling more to cash tournaments and stuff. But one of the things I did have on my list was that I wanted to find a coach, find a mentor to work with. One of the criteria I set for myself was I just wanted to be someone outside the province. And that's no disrespect to anybody here. It was just I wanted a different perspective, right? I wanted different tools in my tool bag that I didn't have before. I wanted to maybe have different conversations, get those different perspectives. So back in January, I just kind of took a plunge randomly one night and sent Desiree a message, and I said, "Hey, I'm looking to hire on a private coach. Any chance you're interested in?" And we kind of went from there. And certainly we worked on some stuff for me, which I won't really get into. But in those conversations, we got into, hey, wait a minute, we have some of the same ideas, some of the same goals, some of the things we're looking to do. And in terms of deciding to ask Desiree to be a lead facilitator for bowling school, a lot of that came back to that whole thing of the different perspective, right? We had a fantastic team here from some great representation of Newfoundland, but it was just kind of the opportunity to maybe bring in a different perspective and a different voice. And maybe sometimes youth listen a bit better to someone new. It's like getting the new teacher at school. And we just said, hey, let's go with it.
For sure.
And I guess Desiree can explain how she received that question.
Yeah, kind of same thing. So I started this season, even for me, I did a little youth challenge prep here, and it was formal. And it's something that I want to get more into, kind of doing workshops and stuff like that. So for me, when Melissa asked, it was a no-brainer. Like, of course, I absolutely wanted to be involved. And as I've said many times, like, coaching is my passion. So to have an opportunity to, at this time, and I'm just going to throw this in there, it was like 10 weeks ago we discussed this. So in 10 weeks, we threw together this bowling school, lots of meetings, lots of this, and pulled it off. But yeah, in 10 weeks to kind of just decide that, yeah, we were going to go for this and make or break was really a cool opportunity that I had to be a part of.
For sure.
How was the attendance? Like, did you guys, what was the attendance like at the bowling school? And did you kind of receive, like, I'm sure there's a vibe. What was the vibe around the weekend?
I'll speak to the numbers, and maybe Des can speak to the vibe because she was sort of more embedded. I was running around in the background a lot doing things. But for numbers, we set out that we wanted to cap at 24 youth spaces and 24 adult spaces. That was partially, based on looking at what centers you might use. But the bigger reason was kind of just keeping the ratios low in terms of instructors and getting the kids the opportunity to interact closely with each other. So that was the caps we put on, honestly, because it was our first year. My goal was 10 to 12 adults, and we ended up with 12. And my goal was 18 youth, and we ended up with 21. So for me personally and Shane, we exceeded our expectations for year one. But Desiree can probably speak a bit more to the vibe from the schools.
Yeah, it was good. It's I think it's always interesting when you get a group of like youth together that are in the same sport, because you have lots of different maturity levels and experiences and all these things going on. And when everyone comes together on the lane and you start working on drills or whatever it is, and you start to see everyone kind of responding the same way, it was really cool. So everyone was super open. They tried everything that we asked of them. And overall, I think everyone had a really good time. Everyone learned something, which for me, that's all I can ask.
Do you guys see yourself, obviously you're raw off the weekend, and I'm sure this is going to happen again, in years moving forward. Any tweaks, learnings from the weekend that you would want to improve or maybe change out?
Melissa?
Yeah, anybody who saw on social media, we had some very serious planning meetings yesterday, sitting on a rock in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. But all jokes aside, those were the discussions we were having. I probably don't want to say too much right now because, like you said, it's raw and it's fresh, and you throw it out there, you're going to do or not do something, and then you don't. But I just think I think right now I think we're at a place where if our personal lives and schedules permit, there's always work and real life there too. But if it works out that we're in a position to do it, I do think we will do it. Which a week ago I couldn't have told you that. I was really curious as to how it would be received in the feedback, and I think it kind of exceeded my expectations even. You're looking at the classroom sessions, for some, those are probably a bit more well received. You're looking at what different topics can we do, because one of the things I struggled with a bit was that, how do you give a different and unique experience every year? And then I kind of sat back and I thought about it. And I was like, well, a lot of people go to hockey camp in the summer. I'm pretty sure hockey camp looks similar most years, right? It's your shooting drills, your passing drills. So
Right.
in the same vein for us, we're doing our end pin drills, picking up our pins, our head pins. So we've been talking about different formats or different topics, but I think it would look largely similar. And I see it more as an opportunity for people to kind of keep coming back and honing, honing their own skills and making
For sure.
refinements.
Yeah. So I loved what you said earlier about like doing all of those things that put you out of your comfort zone, playing anchor or playing against different people is never going to hurt your game. It's only going to help your game, right? Or it might not make you better right now, but it's not going to make you worse.
Yeah.
Was there any other like key takeaways that you were kind of trying to push on the kids, or like not push on them, but like instill in them while they were with you for a couple days? Maybe Des, I don't know if you have.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing that I work on at home, to be quite honest. So we worked on a lot of spare drills. I talked a lot about end pins, not corner pins. I got it this time. End pins and sparing and the importance of that. And yes, obviously, like we want to be hitting the middle and we want our strike percentages and our middle hit percentage to be there. But anyone who knows me and has worked with me, I am huge on the spare aspect of the game and really making sure that that is a strong piece that everyone has, so that if you get in a stressful situation, you have those tools in order to be successful. And so for me, that's what the majority of it was. It was also a cool opportunity to get out there, and I recognized some of the youth that were there. There was lots of new faces for me that were younger that I haven't seen at Youth Challenge or YBC before. But yeah, just getting to know the bowlers out there and see their styles and hear kind of some of their stories, what they work on, what they look at, what they focus on as a coach instead of as a coach on an opposing team, like when we go to YC Nationals or something like that. So yeah,
For sure.
One thing that was kind of cool for me, and I'm going to partially embarrass myself, but hey, it's all about growing the sport, right? So I was doing a little bit of a scorekeeping. A lot of the kids now, there's a lot of electronic scoring, right? So some are not as familiar with scoring, and we got to talk about it. And I was trying to explain, you want them, you want your spares, you want your mark going home, and how quickly it can change. And anyway, we got to talking about experiences of like winning close games, losing, and it just sort of morphed from there. And one of the kids, the kids were awesome. Probably he was 12 or 13. And he said, can you highlight to us sort of like one really difficult moment in your career, right? And what you took from it. And one of mine is very, very fresh. And we have been talking about scorekeeping and averaging and who can beat who. And I knew the answer to this question before I asked it. And I said, how many people in this room have an average that is over 155? Every hand in the room went up, and they're looking at each other going, where is this going? And I said, what do you guys think my average is? And some kids said 275. And I was like, I like you. But I said, around 240. And I said, what's a bad game for me then? And they're like, oh, like 210. And I said, well, I'll tell you, I said, just now at the Open Nationals, I said, my team went into a playoff match with the chance to, at the very least, win a medal, if not a gold medal. And I said, in that game, I said, I bowled 155, which is lower than every single one of your averages. And I said, me personally, I'm sure my team would try to pick me up, but, you walk away maybe feeling a little bit like, you let your team down and this and that. But I wanted them to understand this mentality of looking at the scoreboard and thinking of someone with this big average, like I can't beat whoever. Anybody can beat anybody in a game in particular. And if you keep working at it, but I also told them, and I won't get into all of it, but, had some conversations after that about, why did it happen? How did I feel? What would I do different next time? And I felt a little in Masters that I already kind of put some of those lessons, to work type thing. So it's just really cool when you can start tying things together. And like Des said, with the spare drills, like all of a sudden we get them to bowl a regular game and the kid would, nudge another one and go, you just missed your spare and you got a strike. you just cost yourself 17 pins. And that was so cool to see, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting. Like, I don't know. It's humbling. This game is humbling when you can go from, like you said, being a 240 average player, throwing 155 in a big moment that you might have needed it, right? I felt the same way at Masters. Day one threw really well, average like 270, day two, average like 204. And it was just like, if you had asked me, how did those days feel different? They didn't feel that different that it should be 70 points. But like you said, anybody can have those good days or bad days, no matter what their average is, and anybody can be beat. Doesn't really matter who you are on the lane, and that's a good thing to remember.
For sure.
Yeah. So what is next for Melissa? MBT tour? Do you guys have big things, or for yourself on the lane? What kind of things are you looking forward to for next season?
My first thing personally is trying to implement all the changes that my dear friend Coach Des had suggested, and I will tell everybody at home. It's a long list, so I might be different on the lanes come September. Might not. Might look half different. We'll see. But I guess for MBT, first up is we'll be within the next week. We're going to be announcing our next event, which is in September. We'll announce the dates, location, and the different formats we're having. Then getting into the new year, we'll plan to have our Youth Classic around March timeframe. Our other big event of the year is kind of April-May timeframe, and somewhere in there, hopefully, we'll do our best to support a Bobby O type event. We may look at doing pop-up events. Sometimes we kind of just do a Friday night or a Saturday thing, and certainly sounds like more discussions about Bowling School 2024.
Amazing. And Des, I know this was like the first of hopefully many like contracted out, move into somewhere to go do some coaching. What's next for Coach Des?
Yeah, so this is something like this. This school was great. It was the first official opportunity that I had to do something like this. But I am hoping come this bowling season that I will have a couple more seminars, kind of one-day camp type things for youth and adults that I'm going to do. And I have another little project that I'm working on, but I'm not quite ready to talk about that one yet. So we'll table it for another time. But yeah, there's some new things coming from me.
Amazing.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies, both for like all your contributions to the game. I know both of you see the youth as the future of our sport. You both put the time and effort in. You don't just talk about it. You're actually like doing things and putting action into place to further the game and to help generate the next players, and also working on still yourselves, because you're both still very competitive in what you do as well in the game. But thank you guys both.
And
Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you all. Because I mean, the podcast, I mean, we joke a bit about it, but like this podcast was, and the guys' podcast were topics of conversation, right? And as much as we joke about, bowling now has celebrities, I don't think you guys should underestimate the impact that the podcast is having on our sport, because, we didn't have a lot of this, obviously, when many of us were younger. And I just think it's putting faces with names and sort of bridging some of those gaps that people aren't strangers when you maybe see them at a tournament and that kind of thing. So kudos to you guys for all the work you're doing. And I know you both do a lot of, do a lot of volunteer in the background when you're not on the podcast. So thanks to all of you guys as well.
Yeah,
It's
thank
been
you guys.
fun.
It's a great platform. So
It's been
we will
fun.
see you next month, I guess.
See
Sounds
you
good, Des.
guys.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Wow, that'll be fun to see what kind of changes they make for next year and
Yeah.
moving forward.
Yeah, amazing.
So, Melissa and Des are both obviously very big supporters of the game, but our next guests had a chance that they were at Masters Nationals, and they were huge supporters of one of the teams that was there. So, we're going to bring in the Southern Ontario, I think they referred to themselves as like the Southern Ontario men's team bitches or something, but we're going to bring them in and kind of get a little lowdown on how Masters Nationals was for them. Hello, ladies.
Hello, how are you?
Good. You broke out the shirts.
We did. They're a little bit deformed, but we're here, all of us.
I anticipated the shirts. I honestly did.
I did too. Yeah.
And when Katie and I were brainstorming last week, we were going through, like, we do this preliminary thing where we throw out all these ideas. And we struck a chord when we came up with the idea to have you ladies on, and feel super, super excited and happy that you guys decided to join us today. So,
Well, thank you for asking us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Nobody actually ever sees behind the scenes when you look at bowling, especially nowadays when it's on live stream. But here we are. I mean, a lot of us, this is the first time any of us have been to nationals, so it's a great experience.
Well, and that's kind of what we wanted to highlight a little bit, is just like that behind the scenes. We always talk about the ones who are on the lanes, but that's not always the hardest job either. I know I've been that person supporting in the background, and you throw every single ball with every single person on that team. So we wanted to kind of bring a little bit of light to those people behind the scenes that are getting the water or going grabbing snacks or just being that voice of calm when the team needs it. But we're going to start with having you guys just kind of introduce yourselves. So maybe we'll go around. I'll kind of call on people and just let us know, like, who are you attached to that you brought you to nationals? Are you a bowler yourself? Have you been to a national event like that before? Monica, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. So I went with Bobby. I'm a bowler myself as well. I tried to make the team this year. Came close, but got to work a little bit extra harder next year. But it was definitely one of the best experiences I've ever had. Just being there, throwing, like you said, every shot with them. I think I was just as nervous as they were. But it was definitely something to put in the books, that's for sure.
For sure. Kim.
So I am Doug's wife. This is not my first national experience. It is my first nationals masters experience. I mean, I've been around now for 20 years, so I kind of know what goes on behind the scenes. I've got to see, obviously, every shot being thrown. And you're 100% right. I mean, it's not just, oh, I was there for Doug. Like, these particular guys, and I'm sure we'll talk about this too, like every single one of them we've known for 10, 15 years at this point in time. So when you're there and you're going and watching, you're really participating just along with them, and you're wishing for the best, and you're hoping that, they're not going to get too down on themselves and they can bring it home. So that's the extent of my description of myself, I suppose. And no, I'm not a bowler. I don't understand this throwing balls at pins thing for fun, but it is what it is, and we're along for the ride. Why not? Right?
Along for the ride. Ashley, what about you?
I'm Robert McDougall's spouse. We have a baby together, a toddler, and we live together. And I don't know anything about bowling. So nationals was really my first bowling tournament, bowling experience. And I had such a great time. The energy in the bowling alley is so much fun. I was just so attached as soon as I went.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if I'm ever going to become a bowler, but I'll definitely be there in the background cheering them on.
Don't do it, girl. Don't do it. Don't do it.
And Melissa, you were there kind of like in two roles. Do you want to kind of tell us about that?
Yeah, so I was there with Mitch, but I was also bowling myself. This was my first Masters Nationals experience, and I was playing on the ladies teaching team. So I was there both as a supportive role and bowling myself, and so it was a bit of a double time. Fortunately, these ladies were able to be there at the bowling alley while the guys were actually playing. I was able to see them after and get the recap. I wasn't actually able to see them play. Unfortunately, we were in different bowling alleys the whole time. But yeah, so I bowl obviously as well, and it was just a wonderful experience. And I'm glad that all these ladies here were able to join me as well.
Don't worry, we got you.
Yeah.
We were rooting for you the whole time.
Yeah, we got you.
Thick as thieves, it sounds like you guys are. Whose idea was it to get the matching shirts?
Robert.
I think that was Robert's idea to get the shirts.
brutal. And for some reason, he's named them boys and not men. Like, I don't understand how they've gone back 20 years. But
No, it does make sense.
Yeah.
Though. If you've spent any time with any of them, right?
I would say it's because Robert's like 25 and he's like recently become an adult. So I'm wondering if that's kind of why he called them boys. But obviously
Right.
it's a men's team, Robert. But it's all good. The effort was there.
What's Bobby's excuse then?
Couldn't tell you, to be honest.
Right.
I think he still wants to be a boy. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He has his moments. They all do.
Young at heart.
Young at heart, yeah.
The effort was there, I'll give them one up on that. I mean, I think from what I understand, they all collaborated. They all decided that this was a good idea and they all wanted to do it. So kudos to them. And I guess thank you to them for thinking of us and wanting us to support them every way we could.
Oh, Mitch is
100%.
telling us it's
There you
because
go.
4 of the 5 of them from 2014 when they were all under 30 playing, including
There
the
you go.
coach of the Southern Ontario,
Ontario
boys team.
There you go. That's the
That's
answer.
why.
There you
That's
go.
why. So Monica, what was it like being, because you're also a player yourself, but being on the other side of the pit this year?
It's definitely different. Does make me wish I was out there too. But I don't know, just like being there and like throwing every shot with them and just seeing how the lanes were reacting and the adjustments that they had to make and like seeing some of the conditions that they had to adjust to in some of the bowling alleys, and just showed how strong that they could be. And that was really awesome to see, to have that positive, I don't know, it's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, for sure. There was definitely a lot of adjustments that had to be made. I know Mitch was talking to me in the elevator before we went to the one center. He's like, you got to be careful. You're going to stick. And I'm like, we're just going to slide right through it. It's fine. Everything's
Yeah,
fine.
Yeah, Bobby was like determined at one point to stick to bowling in sneakers.
Yeah.
Like, because it was so bad. And then he goes to the next house and he's like, I have so much slide. And I'm like, you do what you want, but I mean, if it works, it works.
It works, yeah. So how also, like, not only were you guys at nationals, but you were at a national event in Newfoundland, which in itself is just fun to be in. How was Newfoundland?
I apparently became an alcoholic while I was there, and I've pretty much been drunk every weekend since. I don't know. I'm not like a hard drinker, but I swear to God, there was one day I was drunk and sober 3 times in a day, and I have no idea to this day how I did it and how it happened. But
I'm still detoxing.
there you go. There
Yeah.
you go. I know for me, Newfoundland has been one of those places. It's a must. And Doug and I mean, the number of years that he was so close of making a national event in Newfoundland, and it just wasn't there. And then we said at the beginning of this year, like, if you do make this team, we're going. I don't care. It doesn't matter. And we've always thrown out the idea, or at least I have, that, one day I want to live out there. So here's an opportunity. Let's go. Let's see it. And honestly, it was the best time I've ever had, first and foremost, and then on vacation on top of that, and then with these lovely ladies. It's unbeatable, and it's something that I'll never forget, for sure.
So you guys created an easy bond, it seems like, and we talk about that men's team. They're so incredibly fierce and talented, all of them. We've got a few bowlers here, but we've got a couple non-bowlers with you guys. But isn't it interesting that you can watch them and still kind of feel that energy, like that energy in your belly, the excitement for them, and obviously you guys were, big supporters of getting them maybe over a few hurdles when they needed it. So that in itself, I think, is really, really, you should cherish the moment that you had in Newfoundland.
Have the 4 of you known each other for a while before this nationals, or did you guys kind of come together because of these men making this team together?
I didn't know them at all. but I,
I think-
really love them now.
I think Ashley and I have met once before this, and
Wow.
Monica
Okay.
and I, yeah, we did. I think somebody's baby shower. I think we were
Oh
at.
shoot! Oh,
Um,
dang.
Monica and I know each other a little bit better because Bobby and us live pretty close together. And then Mel, I've met a few times, but it was never really like in-depth conversation. It was more of like a hey, how are you? Nice to see you kind of situation.
And now you guys are like bonded with this travel experience and watching those men go get it.
I think because the guys are so close, it was so easy for us all to like all the personalities just all mesh so well together. It was just easy to be friends. And we still stay in touch now.
Love that.
The only one of us that didn't, I guess, have a spouse out there was DJ, and kudos to Nicole. I mean, she was at home with 2 kids doing that side of it. So, as much as she was, missed in Newfoundland by not only probably DJ, but it's an opportunity for us. We didn't get to have her there either, but she was at home rooting along with us. So, kudos to her for staying behind. But it was a blast. I mean, these girls now I think we're thick as thieves, and I'm sure we're not ever going to forget this.
That's awesome. Brenda's husband, Dave, he also has a shirt. Am I correct? I feel like I saw a picture, and he's not here. But let's talk about like Dave's role.
Dave's role. Dave held it together. Like Dave was the glue of the whole like drinking team and the bitches. Like he didn't even question it.
He was the leader.
Yeah, he didn't even question it. Robert handed him this shirt and was like, "Here you go," and he was like, "Okay, I guess we're going along with this."
That's awesome.
Good sport.
Good for you, fantastic. I feel like there's a story behind that. I'm not sure what that story is.
There's definitely a story.
Is it shareable or not
No.
shareable? Not
Maybe in a different format.
okay.
I think
got it.
we all signed a contract to keep that under wraps.
Okay, that's fair.
An
100%
NDA.
respected.
Well, while we have you guys here, we have a couple pictures we just want to share, and maybe you guys can talk a little bit to them. So this obviously is with your boys team that went and won gold. We just kind of brought this up so people could see context of that. But more importantly, a boat trip?
This is probably one of the best days ever.
That was one of the best days for sure.
So
yeah.
I have a question. Is this the day that you guys showed up to the bowling alley already ready to party? Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Three
was
times
this just
over
a
this day.
whale watching trip, or
Yeah, and I think we were supposed to see icebergs. We saw none of that. We didn't see anything but birds and bird poop. So the only thing left to do is to get screeched in and to drink.
And
Oh, we have a
rocks.
picture of that as well.
You can't.
Oh my god.
So this was all of your first time to Newfoundland?
Yeah,
Yeah.
my first time, yeah.
Yeah. And
I
then
had went
Mel,
last
you were bowling though while this was all happening.
That is correct. I was hearing about all the fun, and I was having my own adventure on the lanes with all the things that were going on. But
All
Yeah,
the things.
we missed Mel that day.
Yeah.
We should talk about Mel's bowling because she had a unique adventure, and the poor girl, I swear, the one night she was just like, this is ridiculous, and like she went off from there. So we should talk about Mel's adventures in Newfoundland. 'Cause
What happened in Newfoundland, Mel?
well, the first day, we were bowling without the air conditioning. They didn't have the fans on. It was, I think, 30 degrees outside. Things got really sticky by the third game. And by
Yeah.
really sticky, I mean, there was nothing to save this. I've never bowled in such. There was a joke on, we might have been better off bowling on the sidewalk. It was just, you could not slide. There was soaking of powders. It didn't matter what slider you put on. and it got so I have double jointed knees. So if you see me bowl, I have either I have tapes or I have knee braces on, and so I'm trying to convince. I have a decent slide, and I'm trying to convince myself, okay, you just have to plant, but I can't get myself to plant. I was stumbling every ball. I was just terrified I was going to fall. There was multiple girls that had fouled at this point because none of us can slide. Didn't matter what you did, and it got to the point where I was just getting so scared to bowl. Like it was the first day, and I only game 3, and I'm like, I'm going to injure myself, and this is it. And then my dad pulled me aside. He's bowled a little bit too, nothing competitively, and he goes, I know this isn't what you want to do, but why don't you bowl with just one step? And that way you don't have to worry about the slide, to just focus on your throwing. And so that's what I ended up doing. I had to get rid of my whole approach. I went up to the foul line. I had no slide. I went into a lunge as if I was just finishing my approach and threw the ball. And it was just such a mental hurdle, I think, to get over on. You train throughout the whole year for this, and it was just such a defeating moment, I think, where it's just like I can't throw like I need to, and I just was so desperate to be able to bowl still. And so it was a joke that I have this new approach where I just stand at the line. There's
style.
no step, new bowling, and I just stand at the line and throw it, and
Go from there.
I went from there. I figured it out by the end. I didn't hit my average, but we bowled over a 200 by the last game, and so I was able to make it work. But it was quite a running joke. I had videos going around, and people were talking about
Your new style.
I didn't bowl. Yeah, every time Robert saw me, he would just go into a lunge and throw a ball at me.
Well,
And
good for you for being able to like adapt. I know Newfoundland weather is not usually plus 30, especially when they have a national bowling tournament there, and they did a great job getting fans in as the week went on and drying out those centers so that as we went on, the conditions improved. But good for you for being able to
Absolutely.
adapt and
yeah, I
make
don't
the
blame
best
them
of
at
it.
all.
Avoiding
They
injuries.
have no idea.
Yeah, and make the best of it. It was an adventure. Yes, it was definitely an adventure.
You avoided a trip to the hospital, which is the main thing, right? So, yeah,
I
avoiding
did. I saved my
injuries
knees,
big.
and
Yeah,
Persevered. We're
exactly.
so proud of you, Mel.
thank you.
So we have a couple questions for you guys as well, before we ask like a few other little wrap up things. But I talked to the boys team, to find out just some little things that happened throughout the week to see how well you know the team and the things that they were doing on the lanes, and if you were paying attention. So which one of the boys had a foul at nationals? Anybody know?
Robert.
Robert, yeah,
Yep.
he was the one. Who had the highest game of the week?
Bobby.
Bobby.
Wow, you guys are good.
And
Pay
quick.
attention. Yeah, and
413.
real quick. Yeah, he had 413
He was the
at.
highest of everybody.
The whole tournament.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, he was. Who had the lowest game of the week?
I want to say DJ.
Also Bobby?
I think it was
No,
Bobby.
Bobby.
Robert. Was it Bobby? Robert?
There's lots of mixed here. So Bobby had the 413. He also had 167.
Nice.
That
Oh,
was
okay.
his little high and low of the week. Who threw over 200 every game? Never had a game under 200.
Doug?
I'm gonna say Mitch.
Any other guesses?
We're split here.
We're wrong.
We are split.
Was
No,
it?
Doug is actually right. Doug had
Shit,
200
really?
every game.
That's a new accomplishment for Doug recently. He's been struggling, so all the more power to him.
I like how she's like surprised, like, oh,
I
she
am
did?
genuinely. I'm surprised. I thought
What?
there was one day. Honestly, I thought there was one day. I think it was. What was the day we weren't there the whole day? The second.
The one
I
day
think.
that I went.
I think so. And I thought he had like a 180 game because he was at St. Pat's, but Obviously, I'm wrong. I'm very wrong.
Unless I looked at the stats wrong, but I'm pretty sure he was over 200 every game. So,
Well, there you go. Way to go, babe.
which one was the most positive?
Mitch.
Maybe
Mitch.
self-declared.
Mitch.
So Mitch's team was, like the team was bowling against, or like beside my team one game, and I like was just kind of listening into their pit, and all of a sudden I hear, just do the right thing. Do the right thing. I'm like, that is the most vague encouragement I've ever heard in my entire life. Oh, just keep doing the right things, guys. Just keep doing the right things. I'm like, this is the worst advice ever. He's like, I'm being positive. Okay, sounds good.
I'm going to give all the kudos to Mel on this because I'm sure, as you know, Katie, like this whole Mitch positivity thing has come out of the woodwork all of a sudden, and it's kind of like weird, right? But I love it. It's great. Mel, whatever you're doing, keep doing because it's obviously working.
Which one got stuck in an elevator because he forgot his key? So the Newfoundland
Bobby.
elevators, you had to have your key to get off of whatever floor you were on.
Bobby.
It was Bobby.
It
I
was
didn't know
definitely
this.
Bobby.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah.
when
Oh, yeah.
did this happen?
He told me that he told me he went to go get a beer, and when he got back in the elevator, he didn't have a key. And so he just stood in the elevator for like 3 minutes, waited for someone with a key to come in because he couldn't go up or down. He just sat there.
Nice. At least he didn't get stuck for too long.
True, he did not get actually stuck in the elevator, so that's good. Which one had a little dance on the approach?
Robert.
Yeah.
They're all like, it has to be.
It's
It
more
has
like
to
a
be.
bounce than
Yeah.
a wiggle
bounce.
and then a bounce.
Wiggle bounce.
That is true. Who was singing in his ear to cause the little wiggle bounce?
Robert.
Bobby?
Doug. Doug.
It was
Yeah.
Doug. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They told me that he would like whisper, sing into his ear, not very appropriate things, and then
I was
Robert would
gonna
get on
say.
the lane and start dancing.
Surprise,
So inappropriate.
surprise.
Who had the most beers on George Street?
Robert. Bring the bucket.
100%. I think we could have guessed that.
Yeah.
So, is there any other highlight moments of Newfoundland for you guys?
Oh,
My
actually, go ahead.
I was gonna say my highlight moment was when we got off the boat and we went into that bowling alley and just stirred shit up, and then it was just strike after strike after strike for the boys, and that's a highlight for me.
I think
Just changing the energy.
not for so much for me, obviously, because I've been around the game also for a long time. I think the best moment, obviously, was the fact that we were there with the guys and we were able to actually be there. But I was shocked at the very last day we were watching singles compete, and I look over and Ashley is having a reaction that I've never seen before. And I'm thinking, and I have to remember in that instant, oh my God, she's never seen a competition like this, to this caliber, be executed to the full extent and actually see what it's like shot for shot, ball for ball. And it doesn't matter who the competitor is at that moment. You're watching and you're into it, and you're throwing down, going, come on, you need this, you need to throw this strike. And at the end of it, here she is, like, oh my God, I can't believe her reaction. I'll let her explain it for you, but that was it was the best coming from somebody who has watched the game for so many years from behind the scenes. Watching Ashley's reaction for like a newbie, it was amazing. So go ahead, Ash. Go ahead.
I think the bowler's name is Josie.
Josie, yeah.
Josie Brooks.
Josie Brooks. Yep.
Okay, so she was so into it, and she was so emotional about the whole thing. Every time she threw a strike, she would turn around, she'd be like, yeah. So I was getting right into it, and then she eventually won. And when she turned around, it was just the tears started flowing down her face. She was so triumphant in her win that I could not hold back. I just started crying with her. And I turned around and everyone is staring at me. I was so embarrassed, but I really felt it. I had not been in that situation before, and I was just so happy for her.
it's nice to see though, because you can actually take the new people that have never really watched. I mean, Ashley's been around for a while, but she doesn't come out to the bigger events. It's one thing to go watch League, as you all may know, but to watch somebody win a national title, which I believe it's Josie's first gold.
For singles, yep.
First singles gold, right.
Yep.
And here's Ashley crying over somebody she doesn't even know. And she's so excited and genuinely happy for this person. So shout out to Josie and congratulations.
Shout out Josie.
Yeah.
Shout out Josie. But that was embarrassing. But then the most embarrassing part was when we went to the banquet dinner and she came up to me and she goes, "Oh, I heard you were crying when I won." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, people told her. Bobby told her. I don't know who else told her. If Mitch told her." I was so embarrassed, but I was like, you know what? Good on you. That was a triumphant moment and I was right there with you.
She probably loved it. She probably loved it.
And you weren't alone, Ashley. There were a lot of us crying for her and celebrating. So, yeah, we were all happy for her.
And last question, what was it like watching like these people that you care about win gold? Like what did that mean to you to be able to be there and be supporting them and giving them what they needed in those moments?
Are you asking me?
Anybody?
Oh, I was so happy to be there. I loved sharing that with Robert because I don't get to go to these tournaments. So he's walking by. I don't get to go to these tournaments. So I've never really put myself in these shoes. I've never really experienced, like what they're going through on a daily basis. Like we were with the guys every minute, every second of the day, basically. So we were there, right there with them. And it was so fun, but yeah, it was so hard, I was so happy to like see them win gold and be there right by their side.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if you ladies know this or not, but Bobby, Mitch, Doug, and DJ actually won gold 9 years ago around the same time at Masters Nationals. Robert was the flip for Mr. Matt Houston this time around, but it's amazing to watch them all still practically 10 years later have the same caliber, the same dedication, the same camaraderie is really what it comes down to. They are friends off the lanes, they're friends on the lanes. And at the end of the day, gold obviously is always the ambition, is always the goal at the end of the week. And for this particular team, I think it meant even more to get to that goal, specifically being on this team. And you could tell throughout the week as the week progressed that they were nervous. There was times when a lot of them doubted themselves and a lot of them were nervous to actually go out there and make sure that they were throwing their very best shot. They were doing their very best so that they didn't let anybody else on the team down. And I know for myself, I've had these chats with Doug. I had a few chats with the other guys too. It's just go out there, throw your best. None of these guys are going to judge you. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. Obviously you want gold, but it's all good. These guys aren't going to be the guys that are like, hey, you messed this up for us, right?
Yeah.
So it's good on them. I'm glad to see that they were actually able to get the job done once again. But it's I'm actually glad for them in regards to being able to keep it together for all of them and bringing home gold.
For sure. Actually, one other thing, Monica, Melissa, as bowlers, was it a way, like, were you able to kind of watch them accomplish this goal and use it as motivation for yourselves or learn something for your own game moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, it was really inspiring, as Kim was saying, on the fact that this was almost the same team from 9 years ago. And they have such a strong relationship with each other. And even before we went, you can just tell how close they are and how much they wanted it. And it's just so important, I think, with these teams is to have that connection both on and off the lane. So you're not just bowling together, but you need to have that camaraderie and support. And just while I couldn't watch them bowl in person, because again, we're at different centers, I knew how wonderful it would have been to be there and experience it. And it I don't know, it motivates me to want to have that kind of camaraderie and team in bowling going forward, and to have the kind of friendships that go on for 10 years and you're still bowling like you used to. And it was really nice to see.
Yeah, I think all kidding aside, when you have a group of any situation on any team who has decades of friendship, particularly this group that we're talking about, these guys, and I can talk about it from personal level too, in terms of the women or men that are in my life, but I'm sure that this group of men have had to pick each other's pieces up in life, right? Or celebrate like big moments in life outside of bowling, right? And that's just what makes it, I think, even stronger when they get on the lanes and they're at such an elite level, and they're all very driven, there's no doubt about it, and very talented. Just the raw, sheer talent and fierceness that's there. But it goes beyond that, right? It goes beyond what they've all been together for a really, really long time, to make up that chemistry that they have for this season. So I think, it's incredible, because it's a huge combination of things. But more importantly, I wanted to talk about that because I'm sure it's just this other piece that's just not bowling. It's the friendship off, and I think it's incredibly what they achieved. And there's no question, you put that team together again, and they're gonna want the same thing, be fierce as ever, maybe go back to back. An incredibly talented group of men.
So for
Boys.
boys.
Yeah.
For Doug and Bobby, I know this is back to back, and then Mitch coming off his Masters win last year too. So it's all part and parcel, and you're 100% right. I mean, we are not only just friends at bowling, but outside of that too. And unfortunately, life gets in the way too much of the time. But I mean, going forward, thankfully, the four of us have been able to form a bond too, and I don't think that's going anywhere anytime soon. So
I mean, maybe new T-shirts next year. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe Spitfire bitches, or something. But
Who
yeah, it
knows?
sounds like you guys are very free spirited and you had a ton of fun.
We did, and I don't think the good thing is nobody's taking this experience away from us. And I know for myself that I am so thankful that I had not only these girls there with me, but the guys. Honestly, they made the week, and thankfully for them, we were all there to be able to experience it with them.
It's been a pleasure to have you guys on. Thanks for sharing and being honest about all your stories. Say hello to your men from Katie and I, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
And thank you so much for asking.
Thanks, guys. All right.
Fun.
We are, yeah.
I like when my
They were,
cheeks hurt after a podcast.
yeah, they were so much fun to watch at Nationals too. Just you could
Yeah.
feel the energy that they brought to the lanes and to the team, and
I'm sorry
so
I
much
missed
fun.
it in person.
yeah, next year, next
Next
year.
That's
So
next podcast about how
next,
to
yeah,
gear up for the season.
how to gear up. As we close off, just a couple quick reminders. Tour Championships are coming up at Sherwood Bowl this August. I think August 11th and 12th. The Gallagher Cup will be Friday night. That's free for anybody. And if you're wanting tickets to come to the live event, they'll be taping it, releasing it on YouTube in episodes. But if you want a sneak peek at who wins the Tour Championship title, you got to be there because it'll be on lockdown information. So tickets for that are $10. There's a dinner on Saturday night, which is just like your basic hamburgers, hot dogs, all the barbecue fixins for 15. So I know you can get your tickets for that on the WCBT Shopify or 5 Pin Universe Shopify on the WCBT page for it. There's posters floating around Facebook. Just click on one of our pages. I'm sure it's there. So yeah,
Next podcast, August
next
16th.
podcast. We've got it all planned out. We're
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah, we are ready,
We're ready.
which is good.
Um, Yeah.
Thanks
Well,
for joining us tonight, everyone.
yeah, hopefully everyone is having a fantastic summer. You continue to be able to get away, relax, enjoy your time away from the lanes a little bit, and we will see you next month.
Sounds good. Thanks, Katie.
Uh, uh-oh. Oh, here's one. Okay, bye guys.
Bye, everyone.